Cause creates an effect in return creates a cause. In 1920, major economic problems eventually led to the Great Depression, which weighed massively in the 1930s. The problems experienced in the 20s included the unequal distribution of wealth, a small middle class, an increase in the cost of living, and the wealth in the hands of the industrialists and others in the upper income classes. There was over-speculation in the stock market, which was not regulated. Many Americans purchased stock on credit. This was known as margin buying. The 20s were a time for increased manufacturing and agricultural output, but wages did not keep pace for the consumers to purchase all that was produced or grown. Hence, inventories increased and agricultural income remained low. Another major cause to the Depression was buying on credit, known in the 20s as installment buying. People purchased things like refrigerators on time and did not have enough money to pay for the product in the future when the bills became due. Federal regulations on businesses also contributed to the cause, especially favorable to the large corporations for their taxes laws, which were written to encourage business expansion. Banks were permitted to speculate in land and the stock market with little government regulations. The final causes were high tariffs and war debts, which helped spread the Depression worldwide. The main theme between the cause economics and the effect, the Great Depression, is wealth as a loss of it, was what bridged the gap between both events. The 1920s also led to the start of World War II and the rise of German power. Fascist movements emerged in Italy and Germany during the global economic instability of the 1920s and consolidated power during the Great Depression of the 1930s. In Germany, resentment of the Treaty of Versailles, specifically Article 231, the Guilt Clause, and the onset of the Great Depression, fueled the rise to the power of the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler. Although the Versailles Treaty imposed monetary reparations on Germany, Allied assistance to the Weimar Republic, both through the Dawes Plan and through investment in Germany during the 1920s, greatly exceeded the reparations taken from Germany under provisions of the Versailles Treaty. Meanwhile, the treaty's provisions were laxly enforced from fear of another war. Closely related is the failure of the British and French policy of appeasement, which sought to avoid war but actually encouraged Hitler to become bolder and gave Germany time to rearm, and the USSR's signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which freed Germany of fear of reprisal from the Soviet Union when Germany invaded Poland. The League of Nations, despite its efforts to prevent the war, relied on the great powers to enforce its resolutions and was unable to prevent the start of the Second World War. The Great World Depression in 1929 became a very important cause of the war. It sent the German economy into a great disaster, causing a humongous number of unemployed people. In the book Causes and Consequences of World War II, it is written that, to the Germans, Hitler was now a strong, determined, and efficient leader who knew exactly where he was going. But did the people already know where he was leading them? No, the people believed that Hitler was leading them out of the Depression, but in actuality, Hitler's motives were different from what the people thought they were. He used the Great Depression to connive his way into authority. His real motives were to abolish the Treaty of Versailles, expand German territory, and dominate Europe and the whole world. In order to achieve these goals, he first wanted to conquer France and Russia while he was still on the same side as Italy and Britain. He believed that Italy and Britain would stay to his side until he began the full destruction of the Jews. These causes in the 20s led to the outbreak of World War II, and the theme of both is community. With all these events in mind, the overarching theme is wealth. Every event revolved some way or another around wealth. Money was constantly being gained and lost in a wave of uncertainty. During both the 20s and the 30s, everyone wanted money, a slice of the wealth. There just wasn't enough to go around.